The following video contains information and video footage of an officer-involved shooting with officers from the Macomb Police Department. The video is being provided to the public in commitment to transparency and public interest.
This video was intended to inform and educate the public.
Welcome back to the Junkyard News. And in today's video news story, we have newly released body cam video footage of an officer-involved shooting that transpired from a domestic call, and when officers arrived and proceeded to the apartment door after knocking, heard a female inside scream for help, claiming she was being stabbed. What then transpired after officers kicked in the door is up for heated debate as they encountered a man without clothes on with two knives, ordering him to drop the weapon, but the officer did not fire. The man then ducks into a separate, out-of-sight area, possibly a bedroom, and grabs a 4-year-old human shield. When he comes back into view, he is holding two knives and the boy as a human shield, and the officer, without a moment's hesitation, pulls the trigger, and you can just guess on what the end result was. No taking a few steps back, no attempt at de-escalation, no attempt at hostage negotiation, and now not only the suspect, but an innocent young one is no longer with us. Let's get into it. Body cam video was released this week of a March 16th police incident that took the life of an Illinois man and a 4-year-old boy he was holding hostage as a human shield. The Macomb Police Department released an edited video back on Monday after a special prosecutor said he found no basis to charge the officers that were involved. The officers were placed on leave following the shooting, a standard procedure for most police departments. The shooting stemmed from a domestic incident at an apartment in Macomb back on March 16th. Family identified the child who passed as Terrell Marshawn Miller. The officers responded to the residence just after 10 p.m. after police received multiple 911 calls. The department has claimed one caller had said they believed they heard gunshots, according to the police department. When the officers arrived, they found blood smeared on the wall of the building stairwell. The body camera video does show this. Police knocked on the apartment door, announced their presence, and ordered the occupants to open the door. After officers heard a woman scream for help and saying, "He's stabbing me," they forced entry into the apartment. The woman is seen in the video running into the living room area. She tells the officers that her son is in the other room, back with the suspect. Just then, the child is heard screaming. After the officers ordered the female that had injuries out of the home for her safety, the suspect, who is naked and holding a knife at the end of a hallway in his left hand, dashes into another room and reappears seconds later with a second knife and holding the young one over his chest area as a hostage. Police said the man had one knife at the child's throat and the other by the child's waist. Immediately of them both coming into view, one of the officers fires a single shot, striking the suspect and the child. Police rendered aid and called for medical personnel, but the suspect and child died at the scene, police said. Now the woman, Miss Miller, told a local news station that she had returned home to find her ex-boyfriend, 57-year-old Anthony George, intoxicated. And then things went left. "He told me, if I can't have you, nobody can." So here's what we have in the way of the body cam footage that was recently released. Make your own call. Should the officer take it a moment, step back, and try to de-escalate and try a little bit of hostage negotiation? After all, if his motive was to save that child, wouldn't he have taken an opportunity, just a moment, to try? No. What it comes down to is police safety. Doesn't matter if he's holding a child. He has two knives, and he's that close to the officer. The officer doesn't care who's in the line of fire. He just wants to end the threat. It had nothing to do with the child, nothing to do with saving the child. It all had to do with ending the threat that he perceived on his own safety. Again, this is just my opinion. You can leave yours in the comments below. Thank you again for tuning in to this video by the Junkyard News. Comment what you think. Be careful, people. The next video we play on here could be you in the next one. Thanks again.
Macomb Police, open the door. Huh? Macomb Police, open the door.
Officers announce their presence and order the occupants to open the door.
Huh?
Officers hear screams for help. A distressed female subject could be heard yelling, "He's stabbing me."
Let me see your fucking heads! Let me see your heads!
Officers force entry into the apartment.
Get out!
A Macomb police officer discharged a single bullet. We will stop the video at this point out of respect for the deceased's family members. Following the discharge of the officer's firearm, the threat ended. Officers began rendering aid and called for medical personnel. Both the child and the suspect were pronounced deceased at the scene. We'll take a moment now to review additional details of the incident. When officers arrived on the scene, note the presence of blood on the walls of the stairwell.
Macomb Police, open the door.
After identifying themselves and ordering occupants to open the door, a female subject could be heard yelling, "He's stabbing me." Officers then forced their way into the apartment after identifying themselves. The officer points their issued firearm at the naked adult male, identifies himself as police, and issues lawful commands to see the suspect's hands.
Let me see your fucking heads! Let me see your heads!
The officer orders the female with injuries out of the home to safety. What happens next transpires in a matter of seconds, so we'll slow and stop the video occasionally for additional clarity and detail. Notice during the confrontation we can observe a knife in the suspect's left hand. We'll highlight the weapons when present, as they're only visible for a short time during the incident. The suspect then lunges out of sight and a child is heard screaming. The suspect eventually reappears with a knife in each hand, holding the child to his chest, one knife around the child's waist and one around the child's throat. It should be noted this adult male is identified as the suspect. A Macomb officer discharged a single bullet. The threat ended. Officers began rendering aid and called for medical personnel. Both the child and the suspect were pronounced deceased at the scene.
Videos uploaded by the Junkyard News are helped in part by viewers just like you. You can show your support for this channel by clicking the thumbs up, sharing our videos, or hitting that all-important support button on our channel page. Don't want to miss a video or a story? Make sure to check us out and like us on Facebook at The Junkyard News.
This video was intended to inform and educate the public.